I've just been over, did my first international burlesque tour, which was the London Burlesque Festival, represent, and it was amazing. I had a really fantastic time over there. The best part about the festival was just going to meet as many international performers as I could. There were girls I met from Russia, from Norway, from France, from Berlin. So it was just a big international melting pot of different types of burlesque, and I was one of the girls representing Australia out of 3 girls. So I had an amazing time. So I performed the 3 acts that I performed at Miss Burlesque Australia 2014. I came runner-up, which was fantastic. So I submitted all 3 acts, which were a classic called The Moon Was Yellow, my neo-burlesque act, which is my toothpaste routine, and my unique burlesque act, which is a Western-inspired act. And luckily for me, I submitted 3, expecting that maybe on the off chance 1 would get in, and they wanted all 3. So fantastic, because I got to showcase everything that I'm really proud of over 2014, but not so great because I had to pack 2 huge suitcases full of costumes, which was such an effort getting over there. But we got them over there in one piece, and the acts went really, really well. I was really lucky, and that all 3 of my acts went very well, except for 2 small instances. The first act I performed was the Western, and I have a very small high-rise G-string. And towards the end of the act, I lie down on the floor, kick my legs up, and shoot the audience through my legs, and then I stand up. And in the burlesque world, we call it popping a flap, where you may have had something downstairs be visible when you've been moving around in your very, very small G-string. So I had to slightly adjust myself on stage. Usually it's not that big of a deal. This time it wasn't. Apparently it went completely unnoticed, but I did feel it a little bit awkward. But that was my first time popping a flap, so that was the first time for everything. The second time was during my toothpaste act, and I have a really lovely person who will come out on stage and brush their teeth, and that's the opening to the act. And this time it was my good friend Amy, and she stepped out, and the music is supposed to start as she steps out, and the music didn't start. So she was out there for a good 2 minutes, brushing her teeth with the most awkward look on her face going, "Is this it?" And the audience was cracking up because they had no idea what was going on. I was freaking out because my music hadn't started, and then luckily the music started and the act went incredibly well. It was the best routine that I performed in London, and from then on, every girl I met at the festival just called me Toothpaste. I met so many really amazing performers. I think my favourite performers I met were, I really liked CC Sinclair, who's from Leeds, who is just very, very tiny slip of a girl who has the biggest stage presence you could ever imagine, and she was just very inspiring to watch and was really, really quite vibrant, and I wish I had a bit of her energy. And she was just a generally lovely all-round girl. And the other one was another really gorgeous queen, Knockout Noir. She is from Norway, and apparently the burlesque scene in Norway is very, very big, very vibrant. So she's come learning from a lot of very amazing burlesque performers, and she headlined one of the shows that I saw at the London Burlesque Festival, and she is just one of the greatest sensual performers I've ever seen, and was lovely to boot. Off stage she was just a real fun person who uplifted you and made you, remind you why we're doing this, and it was just lovely backstage. She was amazing. I met everyone, I had a good time. I definitely got a lot of inspiration. I think I didn't learn too much. Just meeting everyone and learning about their experiences was a huge learning curve for me. I didn't learn anything new, but I definitely got a whole lot of inspiration. And as soon as I got back into Perth, when I left Perth, I was very kind of deadpan with my acts. I had no idea where each of them were going. And since coming back, watching 2 weeks of burlesque, international burlesque, my head is just teeming with ideas. So it just goes to show you that you should really get out there and watch as many shows as possible, meet as many performers as you can, and try and learn a little bit from each of them, because we all come from different backgrounds in performance. I think the Burlesque Festival, the Burlesque show, was my favourite show of the whole festival. That was just amazing because we had girls who did a Hannibal Lecter act, we had someone who did a Gremlins-inspired pole act, a T-Rex pole act, a Velma from Scooby-Doo act. So it was all of that kind of wacky burlesque that is very dear to my heart. I love the wacky side of burlesque. So that was the greatest show. I think the moment that I was, that shocked me or surprised me the most, which I thought was a standout, was seeing a performer called Solaris, who did a Cleopatra-inspired act, and she had a beautiful milk bath on the stage and a lot of different kind of urns around her. And halfway through the act, she opens up an urn and pulls out a giant boa, a huge live snake, and is like extending it out to the audience and wrapping it around her, and it's huge. I haven't seen a python that big in public, except in the zoo. And so she puts it down in her urn, that's all lovely, and she opens up another urn, and I'm like, well, what could she possibly pull out of here that's gonna surprise us? It was an even bigger snake. This was a white boa that was bigger than my leg, thicker than my leg. It was huge, and she did the same thing, and we were like, oh, double team with a snake. Yeah. One snake isn't enough, 2 snakes. And I just loved it, it was great. So I was very lucky to be able to go see the Kinks musical called Sunny Afternoon. My dear friend Amy is working behind the scenes as a costume designer and dresser at that show. So we got to go see the show, which was amazing. And afterwards we got to have drinks with the cast and meet the entire cast. So it was one of the greatest musicals I've seen. It was fantastic to go to the West End and see a real London musical. I had to see one, and I'm glad it wasn't Cats or The Mousetrap. So Sunny Afternoon was a big hit. Fantastic music, great cast, amazing story, and really lovely people working behind it. So I loved that. That was definitely a highlight. The second sort of sightseeing adventure for me was visiting the Victoria and Albert Museum, which is full of amazing modern art, as well as they have like wings designed, designated for sculpture, for tapestries, for pottery, and they also have a costume section. And as soon as I found the costume section, I freaked out because there was just so much to see. And they have showgirl headdresses from Minsky's in the 1920s where they used to wear these amazing headdresses. They had Dame Edna's breakfast dress. They had Mick Jagger's onesie and a complete replica of Kylie Minogue's dressing room from her showgirl tour. So again, that was inspiration by the second. Just seeing different costume pieces and learning the history behind it really inspires you as a performer, and especially for burlesque where costuming really takes everything up to the next level. It just generates a buzzing array of new ideas, and they had to keep me up. I would have slept in there. Going to the London Burlesque Festival was such an inspiration for me. It was my very first international festival, and it's just ticked something in my brain that says, look, this is what I want to do. And I'm so ready to go and visit a bunch of other countries and see how they perform there, and I would love to show other countries what I have. So I'd like to say thank you to Chaz Royale and Betty Delight for accepting me to the London Burlesque Festival 2015. I'm definitely going to be back, but I think I might visit some other countries first. My first stop would be Norway to see my girl, Knockout Noir. I have to see her. So Norway Burlesque, I'd love to figure out how it's done there. I'd love to travel to New Orleans. That's where a lot of amazing, winning burlesque queens have come from. That I feel like that's the motherland with great music, really amazing performers. So I'd love for that to be my next stop. So Norway and New Orleans, look out because I'm coming.